Welcome back to the Ilia Topuria fan club. Today we're going to be analysing the best fighter in the world. Let's get it going. Now, what makes him so good? There are four main components that I really believe that makes him the best fighter on planet Earth currently. Now, obviously I'm exaggerating, but, he's a very good fighter, and here's why. Boxing technique is very good. Best boxing in the UFC, in my opinion. Takedowns and the threat of a takedown really does get into your head a little bit. It makes you lower your hands a tad. Knockout power. This boy's got knockout power, right? Knockout Holloway. You don't do that just you walk down the street. Oh, gust of wind. Oh, Holloway's been knocked out. That doesn't just happen. This isn't Garbrandt. Fight IQ. Very good fight IQ. Let's get started. Boxing technique. He has got crisp, clean boxing. Now, obviously, these still frames don't really do it justice. And flipped Topuria, right? It doesn't really do it justice. It's kind of just, oh, here's a still frame. Oh, he's knocked out. He didn't even knock out both of these guys, to be fair. But, you see him knocking people's heads back. If you look at his jabs, they are clean. They're some of the cleanest in the UFC, especially when half the guys, the boxing technique is kind of just let's throw haymakers at each other until one of us knocks each other's out. No, but Ilia Topuria just has better boxing than everyone. And that contributes massively to just knocking people out. Now, his takedowns are also a very big threat part of his game, but we're going to analyze that in a second. First, we're going to analyze his fight IQ next. Now, why is this going? I'm in the middle of my video. Okay, right. Doesn't really matter. That's going to be left in because we don't cut things to this channel. You get the authentic experience. That's why you should subscribe. Now, Ilia Topuria's fight IQ is very different to what you would see most people's fight IQ. So it's not just necessarily, oh well, this guy's he's got terrible stand up, but if I shoot a takedown, he's going to twist me up like a pretzel. Might as well stand on the feet. Ilia Topuria's fight IQ is more, I know where my game is strongest. I'm going to push him towards that part. Now, he's strongest when he's against the fence. Now, if you can see these group of pictures, Ilia Topuria utilizes a feint. Now, I know this is like Joe Rogan analyzing calf kicks, but I'll get onto that in a second. He is feinting because what the feint does is he uses the jab and then he uses a feint, and the feint pushes his opponent backwards. So as you can see against Alexander Volkanovski, he utilizes about 3 or 4 feints over the course of about 20 to 30 seconds. This pushes Volkanovski up against the fence, as you can see in the fifth image on the screen in the bottom left-hand corner, or the bottom left-hand corner of the images we've got on the screen. And then once he does this, he explodes because he knows that Volkanovski has nowhere to go. He explodes forwards, lands him with a bunch of punches, and then finally knocks him out with the final right hand. Now, if you look at this group here, Volkanovski is trying to move laterally towards his left or our right in this picture, in the middle picture of the screen or in the bottom section of these pictures. This is a really terrible example. It doesn't really matter. As you can see, he needs to move laterally out because he cannot move backwards because Ilia Topuria has pushed him against the fence. So he has to move laterally. And what this means is he is moving directly into Ilia Topuria's right hand because as he's moving laterally, Ilia Topuria is throwing a right hand. It's very difficult to get out from this situation, and it didn't work out for Volkanovski, so Ilia Topuria knocks him out. Next up, we're going to analyze this Bryce Mitchell fight. Now, as I said, Joe Rogan analyzing the calf kick. I'm going to analyze this little calf kick right here. Now, this is a perfect calf kick. I ain't gonna lie here, right? This messes up Bryce Mitchell. As you can see, he actually spins him onto the floor to the point where he changes to southpaw. Now, as you can see, first picture, you can see it, just his leg poking forwards. He's an orthodox, he swaps to southpaw. That gets in his opponent's head. Now, I know every single fighter does this, but Ilia Topuria picks the perfect point to throw a calf kick, and that is maybe the biggest set of glazing I think I've ever done in my life. But he also uses the fence when grappling. So we're going to speak about the threat of the takedown in a second. However, if you look at how he uses the fence when he's grappling, he uses the fence when he's striking, but he also uses the fence when he's grappling. Now, this is big because what this means is he can push his opponent up against the fence without doing the Marab tactic of, I'll just push me into the fence and not do anything. So he can then he can cinch in a takedown. Now, if you look at the fourth image here of him grappling on the floor, he's got Bryce Mitchell pushed up against the fence where he's trying to lock in a body and arm triangle. And then he uses the fence as like friction to push his arm further into the fourth image of the screen, and he eventually locks it in and taps out Bryce Mitchell. And as we said, we're going to talk about the takedowns, right? Might as well talk about the takedowns. He is very strong for a 145er. He managed to get in this position with Bryce Mitchell and just throw him over. Now, obviously, if you look in this first image here, he's got very good jiu-jitsu to begin with. He's a black belt BJJ. That's a little bit below there. But we're using this Bryce Mitchell fight as a normal point because he did very well in this fight. Look at his leg positions in that top left-hand corner, right? He is still technically on his feet because he's quite short for the division, but he's strong. He's on his feet against Bryce while Mitchell's on his knees, and he manages to use this as extra leverage and power to push over Bryce Mitchell and maul him on the floor. This, and then obviously he's a black belt in BJJ, but this really adds into the effect of he is very good on the feet. But if you take him down, he's good on the ground as well. And this leaves you in a point where he's good on the ground to the point where he might submit me. And he's amazing on the point where he's amazing on the feet to the point where he will probably either demolish me on the feet like he did to Josh Emmett or knock me out cold. So where's the point here? Where do I go? What do I do? And I will speak in a second on how you beat him after I glaze him a little bit more about his knockout power. Bro knocked down Max Holloway. You don't just do that. As I said before, the gust of wind, it doesn't just come along and go, oh, knock him out, you know? This makes him very dangerous to strike with. And as I said, mixed in with the takedown, very difficult to beat him. So how do you beat him? Well, you cannot allow him to walk you down the same way he does to Strickland. Because if he to Strickland with Strickland also walks you down, but Strickland doesn't have the knockout power that Ilia Topuria has, or the fight IQ that has. Ilia Topuria will push you against the fence if you allow him to walk you down. He'll keep feinting, keep jabbing to the point where you're focusing on the jabs, you're trying to kick him in the legs like Volkanovski is, and then you're up against the fence and you get knocked out. Now, he does have a disadvantage against stronger fighters with good wrestling because the differences between wrestling and BJJ is the wrestling fighter will always win the ground exchange is in terms of, oh, I've slammed you on the floor or I've moved around to a better position. The wrestling transitions are better than the BJJ transitions, but the BJJ will allow you to submit your opponent, which is why Ilia Topuria is so dangerous on the ground, right? But against a good wrestler, the wrestler will be able to defend transitions against him better, be able to keep him in guard better, be able to switch from guard into back mount, whatever. Guard from back mount, Jesus, that's not even a move. Doesn't really matter. A good wrestler will have the advantage on the ground, like Islam Makhachev, like Belal Muhammad. Now, I think Belal Muhammad will probably get chinned by Ilia Topuria, but I think Islam Makhachev has a better chance against a guy like Ilia. Now, Ilia Topuria, is he the best fighter in the world? Currently, he's not pound for pound top one, or pound for pound top, or top of pound for pound. I don't know why that took me 3 attempts to even get that out. But he is certainly one of the best fighters in the world right now. I think he beats Islam Makhachev, and I think he beats Belal Muhammad. As I spoke, I think he beats both of these guys. I think he beats Volkanovski in a rematch. I think he beats Lopez as well. I don't think anyone beats him currently in the roster that I can see. Maybe Evloev grapples him and wrestles him to the point where he grinds out a decision because he's the most boring fighter on the entire roster. I hope he gets cut from the entire sport. I hope he gets chinned by Ilia Topuria, and I hope this is the end of the video, and I'll see you all next time. Sort of. Goodbye. No. I think Ilia Topuria is possibly the future GOAT of the sport. He needs to move up to lightweight at some point. He's not necessarily massive for a 145er, but he would be quite small for 155. So, which is why I think moving up to 155 may not be in his best interest, but he'll probably do that at some point in the near future. So, I hope that really clears things up. It doesn't clear anything up. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.